Hey everyone, Real Comic Stacks checking out Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History #1, guys, and this is a fun book. It's goofy, it's silly, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it has a lot of fun with characters throughout Marvel history. So it's going to be a really fun ride. It's very humorous, a lot of quips. I mean, I'm not going to do it justice with all the pages are filled with stuff. There's no way to cover this in a video, so make sure you make it out to your comic shop and pick this one up. But the book starts with Frank Castle arriving at his home in Queens. And he's explaining in his head that, look, I used to be a guy that cared about everything until I realized it meant nothing. And the one thing that really meant something was gone. So now he's here. He's been waiting patiently for the day before his family was killed, and now he's there, and he's about to change history, and it's going to be crazy. But he starts by knocking on the door, and his son answers. His son sporting some Spidey undies and a towel for a cape, and he runs off saying, "Hey Mom, some pervert's here to see you," and his wife comes to the door, and she is shocked. She's like, "Frank, what?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm Frito. I'm Frank's uncle. I was just wanted to stop by and check on him. I was worried about him." And for Frank, he's sitting across from the woman he loves, who, his family that was viciously murdered, which he knows is going to happen tomorrow. And he's staring across. This is what caused Frank Castle to snap. I'm not saying he was completely normal to begin with, but this is what pushed him over the edge. This is what turned him into the Punisher, and he's just soaking all this in. He's saying he wants to reach over and kiss her right now, but he's pretty sure she's not into making out with creepy old dudes in trench coats. I do have to call shenanigans on part of this, because she just decides that she's going to leave her son with Uncle Frito, who she's known for a good 6 minutes now, and she hasn't talked to Frank. There's no confirmation that he has an Uncle Frito. It's a little bit weird. And so I'm shenanigans. I'm calling it. You don't leave your kids with weird uncles named Frito that show up and you've never heard of them before. Though it is funny that he says this kid will be a breeze to watch compared to the last kid he babysat. Of course, referring to the Baby Thanos series that we just finished a few months back. So she takes off to go pick up her daughter, and Frank is just getting to play with his son and realizes he's really big into superheroes, and he shows him that he is the Cosmic Ghost Rider. Well, then he asks, what are your powers and all this? How'd you get your powers, all this stuff? And Frank starts bumbling around. He's like, spirit of no, good at the kill, no, it's complicated. It's really complicated. You ever heard of the Fantastic Four? Yeah, well, they used to be the Fantastic Five. And he goes off into story time. So as the story goes, Cosmic Ghost Rider was just bebopping through the galaxy when all of a sudden a Watu popped up in front of his face and was like, "Hey, stop!" And he's like, "Whoa!" and caused Frank to have an accident. And obviously it was Watu's fault, so they exchanged some insurance information and got into it a little bit. And right at that moment, as they start to throw down, the Fantastic Four's rocket comes by, and Cosmic Ghost Rider busts a hole in it, exposing the Fantastic Four to cosmic radiation, which, of course, gave them their powers. So, in actuality, that cosmic radiation was caused by the Ghost Rider, or Cosmic Ghost Rider, Frank Castle. And he starts out as a member of the team until after they have their first run-in with Mole Man. And rather than fighting off the Moloids, he just is like ripping them in half, Cosmic Ghost Rider style. And Mole Man is just in tears, like, "Oh, my children, they're sentient beings, creatures, leave them alone." After that, he talks about how they realized that maybe he wasn't meant to be on the team, and he even went and had little Fantastic Five uniforms made. After that, he starts talking about Galactus, who he actually describes as basically the Cookie Monster, but instead of cookie, he likes to eat planets instead. He also, at this time, of course, he's talking about Galactus, he has to talk about his current herald, which is the Silver Surfer. But obviously, Frank Castle, as our narrator, has an axe to grind with with the Silver Surfer, because he paints him as like this chump who's just, at last, a G-type star. This system is bound to have a planet that will sustain my master. Then he'll be so happy. He'll make me his best friend. I mean, he's just clowning on the Silver Surfer the whole time. And then he pops in, says, "Hey, what's going on, Galactus?" And actually calls him Galen, our G-Man. And he realizes real quick, he's like, I'm one of your heralds. I'm from the future. We used to be besties." And Galactus is like, sounds impossible, but I sense myself inside of you. And it's a little bit awkward, and they have a moment. But Galactus believes him, and they talk it out. And then Silver Surfer shows back up, and he's like, "Who is this? This is my..." And Galactus is telling him, "This is my friend from the future and my new herald, Frank. He's just told me about an amazing planet." And Silver Surfer is still trying to get him to chow down on Earth. And it's just hilarious. Honestly, I'm not doing this book justice because so much happens in this. I mean, it goes from Galactus going to Earth and trying to consume it to Reed Richards and Galactus being put on trial for the destruction of Throne World. They actually has a bit in there about them trying to find a lawyer for Reed Richards and Galactus, and nobody will do it. And all the actual lawyers or just about anybody in the Marvel universe like, "Nope, ain't touching that one." The book actually goes into a storyline from the 90s, which was the new Fantastic Four, which was Spider-Man, the Hulk, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider. But Ghost Rider conveniently stepped out and let the Cosmic Ghost Rider step in, which is pretty funny. They go and just the way they describe the storylines that actually happen in Marvel, and they put a spin on them. It's pretty hilarious. But after that, you get a pretty funny comment about why this thing where he's talking to his son again. He says, "I like the Thing because he walks around in his underwear just like me." And Frank just tells him, "True, but he does it because he's too depressed to put on clothes." And it's sad, but it's also hilarious at the same time. But he's sitting there, and he actually has a moment where he says, his son, thinking it's his uncle, he says, "Uncle Frito, thank you for playing with me and telling me about all your superhero friends." And Frank stops and says, "You know who else is a hero? Your dad. I know it seems like he's never around, but it isn't because he's doing some important stuff. It's because he's doing some important stuff. He cares about you a lot. And one day, when he's figured out all this stuff, he's going to sit right here and he's going to play with you." And his son just perks up and says, "Really?" And he's like, "You bet." And it's just, he turns around and has a tear, rolling down his eye. And he's having one of those moments, man. And you get some more shenanigans after this with the Fantastic Four and everything. But I mean, best thing you can do is go pick it up and read it because there's so many nuggets in here that are hilarious. But the book ends when his wife gets back home and introduces his daughter, and she's not happy to see him because she's a teenager, I guess. I don't know. She's really short for a teenager, but Frank steps out, goes into the bathroom, and is talking to himself, saying, "What are you doing, Frank? Getting close to them like this, saving them from getting killed by the Costas tomorrow. This is a bad idea." And he hears somebody behind him go, "Ahem." And he turns around, and it's a Watu, just saying, "Do you want to know my opinion, Francis Castle?" And that is where we're going to end Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History #1, guys. And this is just a fun book. There are so many quips and stuff thrown back and forth in this comic that it's fast-paced, it's fun, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just a fun comic book. And going back through it, I mean, you could get I wouldn't be too worried about getting bent out of shape about continuity. I don't think it's going to be an issue by the end of it. And it's just, I mean, it's funny. It's just a funny comic book. Now, I'm looking forward to number 2, guys. The art in it is good. The story is funny. The tie-ins are great. And ultimately, definitely recommend. They have some pretty cool variants out there. I would highly recommend checking those out too, because they were pretty awesome looking. And but that's it, guys. Definitely make it to your comic book shop. Pick up Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History, and make sure you check out if you want some more Cosmic Ghost Rider. I have a playlist. I'll link it here at the end. You can check it out. And guys, hey, I appreciate it. If you're still listening, hey, make sure you're subscribed. Leave a like, and as always, I appreciate your comments below. Tell me what you think. Guys, that's it. Real Comic Stacks out.